Hi guys, it's Mary, and it is Saturday night at 7 o'clock, which means it is time for a video tutorial. Let me go ahead and just make sure I'm transmitilating over here on my other screen, because otherwise, you know, I'm just talking to nothing, and that's just weird. That's just weird, I tells you. I see a few folks coming on. Sorry, I'm a little late. Right about the time I was getting ready to start up, my chair decided to sink to the floor, and I was like a little kid at a too big of a table. And that just doesn't work so good. I'm just, throwing that out there. All right, it looks like we are out on the internet. Hi, Faith. Hi, Karen. Hi, Pam. Appreciate you joining me tonight. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Hello, Rosie. I hope you are recovering and resting. Hello, Patricia and Sue and Terry and Lynn and Carol. Hey, appreciate y'all joining. Hi, Andrea. Hi, Lenny. Hi, Debbie. Okay, I'm going to stop that now because I'm sure it gets annoying. So, maybe you figured it out. I kind of like fun folds. I tend to try to do those for my video just because otherwise it just seems like a regular old card, and sometimes I think that's tiresome. Susan, hello. Hello, Bree and Jean. And Rosie, I'm glad to see that you are behaving. Hey, Pam and Karma. All right. No, really, now I'm going to stop that because otherwise that's all I'm going to do. So here is the card I made. It is a back to school, back to work, back to whatever. Actually, this is really for school because I put an apple, and my theory is once you put an apple on something that isn't a fall card, like with a pumpkin, then it is a back to school card. So that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. But what's fun about it is it's got a little fun flap on the front. Oh, and a stray dimensional cover, because that's like free. No extra. It's a feature. All right, so I've used the Ridiculously Awesome stamp set, which is really fun. I love this big sentiment on the front. And then you got this on the inside, so that could be for anything. And then on the back, I went ahead and put a back panel with another sentiment and a place to write a little note. So I think this would be really fun to put in a kid's lunchbox, even if all he's doing is going from the living room to your kitchen table for homeschooling. I don't even know if anybody's even going to school. So, but just in case, here's a card you could make to celebrate that first day. So I used Ridiculously Awesome, and then I used the apple from Harvest to Lowe's, and I used the apple builder punch, and also the Banner's Pick-a-Punch to make my banner, which is really good since that's what it's called. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. You'll be glad to know I have done a little pre-cutting, including my fussy cutting, but we are going to do a couple of little cuts, so we should get started, and I should stop yakking. Now, first I do want to tell you to be sure to be paying attention, because starting on the 1st of October, we're having a DSP sale, 15% off select papers, up to and including Playing with Patterns, which is the one that I've used today. So instead of costing $11.50 for a pack, it'll be $9.78. And all of these papers are going to be 15% off. So be looking and get stocked up. And there are papers these are mostly papers from the annual catalog, but we've got Tall Tidings, Heartwarming Hugs, Snowflake Splendor, Magic in This Night, 'Tis the Season, and the amazing, look at that, you guys, Plaid Tidings, Trimming the Town, Poinsettia Place. There's a lot of great papers for sale next week, starting next week, okay? So on the 1st, I think that's what, Wednesday maybe? I'm not sure. But one of those days is the 1st of October, and that's when the sale will start. You'll be able to tell because I'm going to post it. Okay, so I've done some cutting ahead of time, and we're just going to do some pasting. Now, this is going to be a little different because okay, I'm running low on Playing with Patterns, and this is the one I used for my sample, but I thought this one would look just as fun, and so that's what we're going to use here. Okay, so I'm using Night of Navy as my mats, so we'll go ahead and get these matted up. And the fun thing about this card is you really could actually use almost any paper, just modify the paper and the sentiments to be what you need, but make this little fun flat fold card. And you could use this sketch even, and this is a sketch from this week's Paper Players, so you'll see that challenge come out tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll stamp you tomorrow. Okay, Okay, stop. All right, so then next up, I used one of my other favorite die sets, the Stitched So Sweetly dies, and I have cut a piece of Whisper White from the largest of the rectangle dies, okay? So let's just go ahead and adhere that on in the middle of the card. Goodness gracious, I got a little bit extra stuff there. So we're just gonna add that with some liquid glue. Right in the middle, It'll be in the middle of the card, okay? Just like that. All right, now, I picked another piece of the Playing with Patterns DSP, and I've cut it. It's a little bit longer, it's about 6 inches long, and so what I'm gonna do, it's 3/4 of an inch wide, and that's a perfect size for the banner pick-a-punch. I'm just gonna slide it all the way in and cut the banner end. And then I'm going to slide the other side in and do the same thing. And then I'm kind of going to measure. So this is kind of a cut and measure thing. Okay. A little too big, so I'm just going to stick it in again and see if I can't make it shorter. How about that? We'll just do that until we get it shorter. And if I can't make that work, then I'll just cut off a little bit of it. That way I'm never wrong. I'm always just exactly right. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. There we go. I'm calling that good right there. Okay, so we'll adhere that with some liquid glue and then we're gonna make an apple. Hi guys, I appreciate y'all joining. I'm just gonna use a little liquid glue here. And we're gonna go roughly there. I've decided that that looks like a perfectly good place. I'm going to try to make it as straight as my Mark 1 eyeball can do. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's make us an apple. Let's make an apple. I have a piece of the Playing with Patterns DSP and the apple outline from Harvest to Lowe's. And I'm going to stamp the apple on here in Calypso Coral. Like a so, and then we're going to punch it out. Hey Jerry, hi Diana. All right, now I think it's perfectly reasonable that you could have a Calypso Coral and crushed curry apple. I don't know why that would be surprising to anyone, and as such I think it's also reasonable that it would have a Knight of Navy stem. So I'm going to cut a Knight of Navy stem. I don't see why that would be a problem. Okay, let me get my little Twizzlers. And you know, so this is always, I'm never really exactly sure which way to put the stem to make it. So if you put it like this, it's an apple. But if you put it like this, it's a pumpkin. So the stem is the same, pumpkin, apple. See, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Yeah. All right, so a little bit of liquid glue right there. Come on, get it, get it, get it. Get her done. Okay, there we go. So it can just kind of sit for a second. And then I'm going to stick it over here just so it can sit and wait. And we're going to make our little fun flap fold fun card. Okay, so this is 2.5 by 7, and I have scored it and folded it at 3.5. So it's just a little tent card, but it's a little tiny. And I'm going to take yet another piece of the DSP and adhere it to the front. And look, you could completely change how it looks just by using the other side of the DSP. So if you had to make a few of these, you could, and they could all be completely different, almost with the same exact pieces of DSP, just put glue on the other side. And if you put glue on the wrong side, just stick it down and act like that's how you meant to do it. Just saying. All right, so we'll stamp our innards here. And I'm using the You Got This stamp in Calypso Coral to match what's going to be on the front. And I always, when you are using a new set and you put your stickers on, I always try to do a stamp on my grid paper just to be sure that what looks straight on the sticker is actually straight in the stamp. And I've already done that, so I'm pretty confident with this. I think we'll be fine. But I recommend that you do that. And if you use a set and then it's like 2 or 3 weeks before you use it again, do it again, okay? Just so that you know what you're dealing with. All right? And then I don't think any school card would be correct without a gold star. I don't think it's finished unless it has a gold star or 3. And so we're just going to stamp this gold star a few times around the sentiment, like so. And remember, I've got a spot on the back to write, you know, the old, I love you, little Tommy, your mama. You are the most awesomest kid ever. You can write that on the back. So this doesn't need a whole lot of extra space, okay? And we'll use a little liquid glue and stick this right in there. All right, and then we're going to get to the fun part, the fun front sentiment. And we're going to get that on just about as straight as we can do. Now, you'll see that I have treated this little easel as a mat, okay? So it is the same color as the mat on my card, okay? Which is why I don't have another mat. So it's kind of like a tent-fold card mat. It's a tent-fold card mat. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and we're going to stick all of this on now so that it's all in place, and then we're going to make us our front sentiment, and that one is kind of fun. I enjoyed making that. So let's get this on with a little liquid glue. My darn fingernail, it's time to do another manicure apparently. I think this kind of broke, and then I used some stuff to make it stronger, and that kind of peeled the polish, and then I used some super glue that took it another step, and so, you know, it's had kind of a rough day. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to adhere this like so, about like that, and I want this little guy, I don't like it when I can see that scallop there, so where I'm going to put that is right about there, because I want to be able to see that banner, but I don't want to be able to see the bottom of the scallop, because it bugs me, okay? So I'm just going to pick up my apple and put a little liquid glue down, because I liked where that was. It's moving a little bit, but it's okay. It's okay. Tent-fold card front, that's a new thing for me, but I like it. There you go, see? Hi, Anne. Appreciate you joining. All right, and now I'm just going to use some more liquid glue and adhere my little tent fold to the front, lightly overlapping my apple, and then trying to make it as straight as I can. And sometimes when you have a design on your paper, it makes it hard, so try to line this up with the top of your actual cardstock as best you can. Okay, it'll help you a little bit. And then I try to make just a roughly even amount above and below that center piece, and then we'll just give it a little burnish and ready to go when we get our sentiment done. Okay, here we go. This is going to be fun. You're going to love it, I'm sure. Let's get Mr. Stampopotamus out. Okay, so I actually did this a couple of times making the draft copy, and I learned a little something. You can see that what I have done here is I have stamped just Make Today and the word awesome in Calypso Coral, and then I have fussy cut ridiculously in Crushed Curry. The first time I did this, I stamped the whole sentiment in Calypso Coral, which would have probably worked fine if I had not wanted to pop this middle sentiment up. But I could still see the Calypso Coral version under there, and I didn't like how that looked. So if you don't mind how that looks, just ink your stamp in Calypso Coral, stamp it, and cut it. But you're going to mind, so don't do that. Okay, so you're going to want to do it the way I'm fixing to show you. I'm fixing to show you how. Okay, so I just want to be sure that's sort of in the middle, because what I'm going to do is cut it with, I believe, this one. Yes, this size. But I'm going to modify it a little bit, so you're going to actually see the cuts, okay? Yeah, this part, I am not going to fussy cut. I've already fussy cut, because I knew, first of all, that Amy would probably have a nervous breakdown if I tried to do it. Also, It's a little painstaking. It's not hard. It just takes a minute, and that seemed like not a great use of our time here. Okay, so let's do our sentiment. But wait, I have to find my Calypso Coral ink. There it is. Okay, so there's two ways you can go about this. Remember, all I want is to stamp these words and this word in Calypso Coral. So you can, which I did the first time, and it actually works just fine. It's a little clunky, so you can do it if you like, is ink the whole thing and then take your damp cloth and carefully wipe the sentiment. Or kind of a hybrid, which is lean down and kind of put ink just on as much on the bottom sentiment and the top sentiment as you can. It's not easy, I'm not gonna lie. It's a little bit persnickety because you can't really see it. But you can do it, I promise. So I've got ink on the top, ink on the middle, or on the bottom, but I've also got a little ink on the middle. So I'm just gonna go back with my damp chamois and wipe where I can see the ink. The good news is that it's very easy to see where the ink is. Okay? Very easy to see where the ink is. Okay? So then I'm gonna just make sure it's dry, and then we're gonna stamp. Okay? And that's pretty good. And look what we can do, because you have, like I, have made sure you have a Stampin' Right marker for each of the colors that you have. So I'm just going to fix it a little bit. If it's not quite perfect, it's easier to fix it a little bit with my Stampin' Right marker than it is to try to re-ink that. Okay? So, there we go. Just fix that a little bit with your Stampin' Right marker. And I think that looks pretty darn okay. I will take it. I'll take, that's a good for $1, Bob. Okay, let's set this aside. Now I'm going to close this so I don't make a mistake, or cover with a small piece of paper. You could absolutely do that. You could also ink with your sponge daubers. It's all up to you. The trick is you want to get color on those. You could also color with just your Stampin' Right marker, right? Do marker to rubber. You could do almost any way. The part I want you to remember is it will look nicer and you're going to be happier with it if you don't have that middle word stamped. All right, and I've got a little stray bit of ink, so I'm just going to give that a little erase. It's going to be covered, but just in case it's not completely out of the way. Okay, so now let me bring my Stamp-A-Potamus over here. This isn't a Stamp-A-Potamus, this is my cutting machine. Alrighty, here we go. Now, this die, which now I have just set aside, here we go. This die is the correct top to bottom width, but it's too long. Okay, so I'm going to cut it first, just regular, like that, where I want it. See, all you people with such good ideas for inking your stamps. Your guys are professionals. All right, so I've got this in my too big format. So now I'm just going to come back and I'm going to put the end where I want it, about the same distance from the end as this is. Line the little spokes up and lay it back down, and then I'm just going to run it right through to that portion of the die. All right, and that hopefully did it. Looks like it did. It's looking good so far. Put that back. All right, and there we go. So now I have a custom size stitched so sweetly rectangle. And thank you, Mr. Stampin' Cut. Okay, so now all we're going to do is we're going to adhere this to the front like so with some liquid glue. Some liquid glue. Yep, it's a nice cutter. I do like the new cutter. There is no doubt about it. and I like it in its embossing form. I don't know why I keep saying cutter. Okay, so kind of try to center that up as best you can. All right. Okay, now you're going to want to know how I know this, but I'm going to tell you how I know this. When you go to pop this on in place, I highly recommend that you put your dimensionals, at least the end ones, if not on this actual panel right here, really take a look at which letter is as far as you want to go, okay? Because when I made this the first time, I had a dimensional out here, and as soon as I closed my little doohickey, it was stuck to the card front, and that wasn't so great. So I'm using the miniatures, the minis, and that should be just about right. And we'll go over here on the other end, not too close to the end. And then we'll pop that on. Hey Kathy, thanks for joining. Appreciate you coming. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right. And then we're just going to center that up. And I wanted it hanging off the end. That's part of why I cut this smaller. I wanted these ends hanging off of there. Okay? Just like that. And that is our card front. Okay? Now, for the back, we're just going to take a piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to add in Calypso Coral, P.S. I Love You. As straight as I can make it with my calibrated eyeball. And I'll hold it down to get a nice image, like so. And then we're going to, again, some gold stars or crushed curry. Crushed curry is the crafting equivalent to a gold star. I've decided that. And I'm just going to put one here. And I'm going to put one here. It's a fun star. It's kind of stylized. I like it. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to pull out my envelope because I want to put some more decorations on my envelope, as you might imagine. Hi, Martha. We're going to first put the apple in Calypso Coral. Like that. And then I'm going to put the stem in Night of Navy. So when you're doing this with a clear stamp, do a test so that you, like, what I want to do is I want to make sure I can get that point right there in the point of the apple as good as I can. So I'm going to try to stamp right there in that corner as best I can, okay? Well, a different corner that I can actually see. Okay, pretty good. So it's pretty true. Remember, your image placement is only as good as the image on the sticker and your goodness in putting that sticker on the stamp. So always do a test dry, a test dry run, like so. All right, and then, yes, exactly, everything better with wine. See, that's what's fun about it. You can kind of play with it and have a good time. Then we'll put some gold stars. Okay, and now we're just going to do a little more gluing and we'll be good to go, good to go, good to go. First, we're going to put our back onto its mat. Easy and peasy. I hope y'all are having a good weekend. I finally went to the grocery store today. I've been putting it off. It's got, like, all of a sudden, I just don't want to go anywhere. I don't even know why. And I used to really like going to the grocery store. I mean, I like it once I get there. I enjoy the looking around and thinking of what I'm going to have for dinner and all those other things. But gosh, getting gone is, whew, it's like pulling teeth. Don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. But when I'm having to say, well, let's have soup again for dinner out of a can, it tells me it's time to go to the grocery store. Alrighty, and there we go. And that is our card. We're going to put a little more of the Playing with Patterns DSP on our envelope flap. I love this one with the swipes and swaths of Calypso Coral and the Bumblebee. So that is the one I have not Bumblebee, Crushed Curry. That's the one I'm putting on my envelope flap. Remember, this is the one we made the apple from. Alrighty. And with that, we are darn near done. Look at that. We're like 2 fussy cuts. 3, 2. It's like aerobics class. And 3, and 2, and 1, and woo! Like that. All right. And there we go. So, what do you think? I kind of like it. No, I know you can't stand it up, really. I mean, you kind of can, but it looks goofy. But it's fun. I do really like this little fun fold a lot. All right? Okay, you guys. Well, I appreciate you spending part of your weekend with me, and I hope you'll come back on Thursday for the YouTube tutorial. Don't forget, 1 October, 15% off on selected DSPs, and there's a bunch. There's 9 here. Shoot. 15 total. All right, so it's all the good ones. Artistry Blooms, Whale of a Time designer paper, Heartwarming Hugs, Playful Pets, In Good Taste. Look at that. In Good Taste, you can get it, the whole pack, which is huge. Remember, this pack is huge, for $17.85. All right. All of the rest of them are $9.78. That is the only one that is a different price, and that's just because it's a bigger pack. You get more paper in it. All right. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Thursday. Thanks. Bye-bye.